Going live. We're live.
Remember, that's a camera.
Sorry. Hi, everyone.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Welcome to our first edition of Freestyle
Freestyle Live, we'll call it.
Freestyle Live.
Because we are freestyling.
Yes. Full disclosure, we did not prepare anything for this at all. But I'm Miguel.
I'm Jenna.
I'm Conrad.
And if you all don't know, Conrad is our coach, our triathlon coach, our dad when we travel to triathlons. He literally came in the door and we were like, "Hey, Dad." And that's Conrad. And we thought it'd be cool in celebration of our 10,000 subscriber count. Thank you all very much. To do something different because we didn't have time to make a full video and edit a full video this week. We're actually in Milwaukee right now. Jenna and I are competing at the age group nationals Olympic distance. On
Saturday.
I'm competing in the open water swim tomorrow. And Conrad, you have more athletes competing over just us.
We do. We have 8 athletes competing overall. So it's a good working triathlete presence in Milwaukee this weekend. So it'll be fun. It'll be a good weekend.
Yeah, we're excited. So hopefully the internet holds up and hopefully, we get through this. But basically, we just wanted to say hello and answer some questions. We know a lot of you guys left questions in the YouTube comments section and on Instagram. But for those of you that are here live right now, we will take your questions because that's what we're doing here. We're just going to kind of have a freestyle conversation and hopefully it's valuable.
Yeah, so leave your comments in the chat right here and we'll answer whatever we can in the time that we have. Anything about training or racing?
Literally about anything at all. We have our triathlon
limits.
Guru here. So if you have the nerdiest triathlon question you can come up with, ask that. If you have a question about Jenna and I or anything that's completely random, we also appreciate those questions. So anything and everything. But we can start off with some questions that we got from our post yesterday.
Can I start with one?
Sure.
It's how did you guys start this lifestyle of triathlon, filmmaking, and all? And then they said, it's Stella Mag said, just have to say, I love your content and appreciate what you guys do. Good luck on your race.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Stella.
That's a big question. How did we start everything? I can talk about how I got into triathlon. We can start there. Yeah. I got into triathlon. I was a swimmer growing up. I've been swimming since I was literally 2 years old. My parents were super athletic people. My mom actually raced in Kona. She was an ex-Kona triathlete back in the 80s. So I guess my journey started in the 80s, but past that, swam from a young age. And I went to swim in college, graduated college, and got a job in New York City. And at that point, I was kind of looking for some sort of athletic identity. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in any type of sport or athletic stuff. So I was just going to the gym, doing workout classes, doing anything and everything I could get my hands on, but really needed a goal, needed to train for something, needed to race people or compete with people, needed some sort of a team or a coach, just needed more than just general fitness. And my coworker at the time, who's now one of my best friends, happened to be Conrad's cousin. And this guy, Jake, he went home over a holiday break and came back a couple weeks later, and he's like, "Hey, Miguel, I want to do an Ironman. My cousin's going to train me. You're going to do it with me." And I'm like, "Sure, that sounds great. Let's do it." I've always, looked at triathlon as something I'd want to do, and cool, like your cousin's going to coach us. And literally a week later, Jake was not training anymore.
He's like, "This is boring."
It was boring. I want to do other things. And I had a coach, and it kind of just snowballed from there, got deeper and deeper into it. And here we are like 3 years later, and nothing has really changed that much because I'm just coached by the same guy. We've just, gotten a lot farther into it.
You've gotten faster.
Gotten faster, put a lot of work in, and met Jenna somewhere along the way.
Somewhere in there.
At a pool. Classic.
You guys were the speedy people at the pool in New York City, in Brooklyn.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah. Well, how do you get into the sport? We'll get there.
So I swam in college as well. During college, actually, I did my very first triathlon was a half Ironman. Like I told you, I've told you about this. But I was swimming, and my older brother was also a swimmer, and he quit the swim team and wanted to get back in shape afterwards, after 2 years of not doing anything. And he was like, "You know what? I'm going to sign up for a half Ironman." And he tried to get some of his friends to sign up for it with him, and none of them would. So for my birthday, he was like, "Jenna, happy birthday. You're going to go do this race with me." So we did 70.3 Kona, or Hawaii, and raced over there. And after my swim season, I tried to get into training and just did a horrible job training. I did stuff on the internet that I found, swam a lot, had a road bike, and maybe biked 20 miles maximum. And I think my longest run was 6 miles, and somehow made it through that race. It was a horrible 7-hour experience, and just did not train as much as I should have. But after that, just kind of loved it. My college swim coach had been a triathlete as well. And after he had experienced me going through all of this, he was like, "I want to start a triathlon training PE class." So in the spring, after the swim season was over, a whole bunch of us on the swim team would do this triathlon training swim class, which was really just an hour in the afternoon of swimming, biking, and running. And yeah, I would just do a little bit of 3 sport training throughout college. And then after college, I was in the same boat where I just didn't have anything competitive and felt like I was, I guess, missing something, and wanted to get back into something competitive, have a goal that was more than just trying to hit a certain weight in the gym, and decided to get back into triathlon.
I feel like that's the beauty of triathlon. There's no right way to get into it. I don't know, you can probably speak to that. How many different kinds of athletes or non-athletes do you coach that are now all doing triathlon?
People who have never done sports at all. We get a lot of former swimmers, former runners, not a whole lot of former cyclists who get into tri. I don't know why.
I feel cycling isn't a thing that you do when you're younger.
That's true.
At least not in the US.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of backgrounds, a lot of different shapes and sizes can excel because they need some power in the swim and the bike. And then, all different body types, all different ages. And we coach athletes 18 up to, mid 70s right now. So the full age range, and it's awesome because you can do it your whole life. And, if something happens, you hurt your knee and you can't run anymore, there's always aqua bike. So it's a lifestyle. And like you guys were talking about, it's not just working out or going to the exercise classes and having fun just for the sake of doing that. There's also, it's measurable, so you can measure your progress, and you can set goals, and there's something to aspire to. So
sorry about Jenna's slack going off. She's What a loser.
You can turn it on to do not disturb. But yeah, no, I found that I, in the city, would start going to spin classes that were team-based and competition-based, where it would tell you, like, you are on this bike,
Yep.
and you are, even though you aren't going anywhere, you're, like, technically first in the class because you're, like, pushing the most watts. And I would try to get to the very top of that, like, leaderboard every single class, and was like, all right, this is doing nothing for me outside of this, so.
Like, you'll always win those no matter what.
Not all. Okay, I won a lot. But
You have pretty good power on the bike. I bet you'd win most of the time. But. And then you have to wonder whether those spin bikes are calibrated correctly. You know, the power meter.
Yeah, do you think they grind every morning and calibrate?
Yeah,
I doubt it.
Zero offset.
and then filmmaking.
Oh yeah,
Second
filmmaking. Well, that kind of goes into, like, there's no right way to do this sport or, like, have fun with it. Like, some people do it to complete a race, like do it to complete an Ironman or a half Ironman or whatever the distance is, whatever the event is. Some people do it to compete and race other people. And I think, you know, or a mix of all of the above. Like, you can do it to compete at a shorter distance or just compete at a longer distance. But, like, I think what we have found in this triathlon journey is just kind of the camaraderie that comes with it and different communities it builds. I think, like, for example, I'm part of the team Everyman Jack, and you know, there's a whole group of guys that, like, I really never would have met without the sport, or, you know, without competing at a certain level in the sport. And now I get to be friends with these guys, and we get to learn and feed off of each other. And then Working Triathlete is the first kind of group that I got involved with, and that's grown exponentially since I've started. And like, for example, we're on a trip in Milwaukee, and we're staying with a bunch of other athletes here that otherwise we never would have met. And I think, you know, we didn't set out to do filmmaking to, like, have that camaraderie, but it's definitely, like, kind of fueled this community that we want to continue building in the sport. Like, this positive community that, you know, hopefully inspires you all, and you all inspire each other to, like, go out and do something active and enjoy, you know, enjoy the world that we live in, and enjoy the sport that we're doing, or the combination of sports that we're doing. And I think, like, for me, that was a big part of, like, why I wanted to continue doing this. It was cool, like, from the minute we posted our first video to, like, you know, publishing it on YouTube, putting it on social media, and seeing the response from other people, like, oh my God, like, this is really cool. Even though it was just, like, this crappy first video of, like, secondhand footage that we, you know, strapped together. But it was just cool to see that reaction from, like, Jenna's community, my community, other people, like, Second Degree. And, you know, that's kind of what's kept us going. I think the natural, like, why it started was more so, like, from Jenna's route. I don't know if you wanted to talk about, like, what you've been thinking about in terms of, like, YouTube and video.
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know that I just found the chat box. We just found the
chat box. This is our first one.
And I see all the questions, and we will get to them.
Damn it.
But yeah, no, I majored in media studies in school, and knew that I always wanted to do something like this. And I mean, my answer is just going to be a little bit less long-winded than yours, but I've always thought about, like, starting a YouTube channel. I think what we do is very, very interesting and exciting and just fun. And I've wanted to put, like, what I do both professionally and, like, learned in school, like, to a more personal use. And I think Miguel and I are just, like, I don't know, I'm really glad that I found you to start this.
Oh my goodness. How adorable. You too.
Anyway.
All right, let's check out this chat
Yeah, let's
box.
see what we can do that'll bring Conrad into it.
Hi, Matt Legrand. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
We feel spiritually connected to you. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Do you see this, Conrad? Somebody read the Working Triathlete book a few weeks ago, and I'm currently in the midst of his first week of training. That's Mitch.
Awesome. Well, Good luck. It's a good plan. Don't hesitate to reach out with questions.
Well, okay. A lot of our questions were about just like time management and figuring out how to do like triathlon training on like a limited like time allotment, whether that's like a lot of work or like they're a full-time student, figuring out how to get all 3 sports and strength training into there. And I feel like you're the perfect person to talk about it.
Well, why don't you and I give like our top strategy for doing that? Like in our opinion, what's the best way to like fit in training with your work and life?
Okay. What I do is try to schedule it out on my calendar. Like if I have a block on my calendar that says I'm going to swim at this time or run at this time, then I'm going to do it. It's almost like a part of work for me. I have it like on my work calendars so that my coworkers know that between like 2 and 3, I'm not going to be around because I'm out on a run.
Yeah, I definitely second that. For me, I think my top strategy is go to bed early. It enables so much. Even if you don't necessarily have to wake up early, you get more sleep and you can conquer your next day, but like go to bed early.
Yeah, I mean, well, step one when trying to establish how to optimize training in the context of life is to just figure out how much time you have each week to train. And then you have to establish that. And then you have to build the plan around that. And you have to scale certain workouts to fit that. Because any training plan no canned training plan is perfect for anyone because everybody has different strengths, weaknesses, etc. So really, you kind of have to look at the athlete and you have to look at strengths and weaknesses, and then look at the target races, and then build the plan around that. And there are certain principles that obviously govern a good training plan, and certain principles that govern training for a specific race that somebody is aiming for. But yeah, that's important. So the training plan has to adapt to one's life, but waking up early is essential. And that's the big thing with athletes who have kids or have really stressful jobs. I mean, I work with athletes who have absurd schedules. They're working 80-hour weeks, like actually 80-hour weeks. And the trick is just waking up. And a lot of those athletes, we just had an athlete on the podcast who will release the podcast in a week. But he goes to bed at 8 p.m., puts his kids to bed, goes to bed at 8 p.m. He's up at 4 a.m., can get in 2 hours every weekday. And, he's at work at 7 and often works to 6. But he can still spend time with family, crushed at work, and get the work in. But there are a bunch of different strategies. Lunch breaks are important. It's really just scaling workouts to the time blocks you have.
What would you like super busy schedule? What do you prioritize? What do you tell your athletes to prioritize in training?
So consistency and frequency trump volume. So frequent shorter sessions are better and getting frequent stimulus is better than, riding for 5 hours once a week. But for long course, the bike is the most important, and you can get super efficient by focusing on training indoors and doing structured training. Most of the intensity is allocated to the bike in that case. And then running is easy. So you can fit it in anywhere all the time. A lot of athletes just learn to get most of their run training in over their lunch break. It could be done. And then swimming. I mean, swimming is certainly important, especially for top level athletes. You're not coming out of the water in the front pack. You're not going to catch up. But for athletes who are super time strapped, age groupers who can only train, say, 8 to 10 hours a week for a 70.3, you have to scale those swims just because of the time that it takes to get to the pool. Drive into the pool. Sometimes the pool is 30 minutes away. So you have to be strategic there. Just aim to build proficiency and then maintain. But obviously, if you're like Miguel or Jenna and you're sort of front of the pack, you got to spend time in the water also.
I also think it's important to note that like I don't know, it's tough to balance all these things. Like whatever is going on in your life, like other people are experiencing the same thing in the sport. It's just like, this is part of the sport. Understanding that you're never going to be able to get in everything. You're never going to be mentally there 100% of the time when you're training, but just like, you know, like it's okay to skip a workout. Like just plan for these occurrences, and like skipping a run isn't going to kill you. And you shouldn't beat yourself up about like, you know, not getting 100% of your training in all the time. Sometimes it's good to not get that workout in that you're not mentally 100% in for. It like some things can be detrimental to you when you're not, I don't know, when you're not ready, when you're exhausted, when you're running on 2 hours of sleep, or you didn't have a good meal and you've been working and stressed. Like just chill, take a day off. Like other people experience the same thing, even if you're competing at a super high level. Like those other guys that you're racing are going through the same stuff, and accepting that.
Exactly. The big thing is just getting started and knowing that every workout isn't going to be perfect, but if a 2-hour ride is on the schedule and you only have an hour, just hop on the bike and get in an hour of work. It's going to be way better to do that than nothing.
I remember there were a couple times when we were living back in New York that I would get home late and would have like an hour ride on my schedule. It'd be like 8 o'clock. And I'm like, you know, I'm not going to not do it. I'm going to get on, spin my legs for half an hour and call it at that. And it felt good to at least get something in, even though I was super busy. And I think it's not like an all or nothing situation.
Right. Doing that, it also just builds the habit of working out. It just becomes something that you do, and then it isn't hard anymore. It's just the inertia to getting started goes away when you give yourself permission to do that.
Yeah, I think there was a question in there, like, what do you do with workouts when you're not fully mentally there? Like, you've told this to me too, like when I'm not feeling great, is just scale it back, like do something. You don't have to be mentally all in to go for a 20-minute run. You can just put your shoes on and you go for a walk. It's like, scale it to what you think you're capable of doing that day. And, you know, anything is better than nothing. You don't have to do your VO2 interval on a day you're running on 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah, it's okay to pump workouts. You have to understand that life stress is still stress, and Training Peaks TSS doesn't measure, you know, everything. It doesn't measure the late night at work trying to, you know, hit the deadline. It doesn't measure the stress that, you know, you're dealing with in your family or any of that. But that's real, and that's going to impact your ability to execute workouts. Like literally, it's going to impact it. So
yeah, I feel like a lot of those technologies, especially Strava, are just like the training killers sometimes, because it just I went through a phase of just having the biggest ego because I wanted to put up every run sub 7-minute pace.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And now I run like 8:30s, so I've clearly moved past that ego.
Totally. Now there's a direct relationship with sort of the best athletes who I work with, and the athletes who are consistent over time. The difference between, say, their easy run pace and their race pace is much higher than, you know, the athletes who
the gap is
substantial. The gap is so much higher because they get it. You know, it's just, if you're going to be consistent over time, you have to. You can't push the pace every day. You know, there's loading and unloading and ebb and flow to training, and you can't crush it every day. You have to have the courage to rest and recover.
And then what about strength training? We had a few questions about strength training. How does that fit into there?
So it's important. At working triathlete, the philosophy is typically, for most athletes, say who aren't above a certain age, we do one compound body weight movement every week. And that's the traditional compound movements: squats, deadlifts, bench press, and we want to go heavy there. So we start with higher reps, good form, but once you have good form, you can lower the reps and increase the weight, and then you develop power, you prevent injuries, you can enhance exercise economy by doing that. And that's sort of the core workout each week. But then we also add one or two other auxiliary sort of hip focused core workouts, and they can be done in 10 minutes. Things like bridges, single leg squats, bird dogs, fire hydrants, things that activate the glutes, and that are really appropriate for triathletes, things that enhance stability. And, that's prehab. So that's not only are you building strength, but you're preventing injury by doing that. Older athletes usually use 2 full body compound movements because you tend to lose muscle mass as you get older, and it just becomes more important to focus on strength work. But strength training it's essential. You want to definitely do it.
And then I just saw a comment that asked about body work, and we are lucky enough to be able to go to PT at least once a week. Miguel's mom is our PT, and she's amazing and tries to find time for us at least once, sometimes twice a week. So.
And you'd think we'd never get injured, but we're constantly injured.
I wouldn't say constantly.
Well, we're not. We're okay. We're not constantly injured. Everyone in this sport will have little things going on, but the key is to just be on top of it, take care of it before it becomes a bigger thing, and don't be stupid. Like if you go out for a run and like you feel something in your calf, just stop your run, go home and ice it. Like the amount of times I've done that in the last 2 years is substantial, and it saved me from getting a bunch of injuries that could have taken me out for like a month or two. If you tackle these things when they're really small, they'll be done the next day. If you wait and try to train through it in a week, they're going to be terrible and you're going to be regretting everything. But yeah, no, I think like body work and physical therapy, that stuff is great if you have access to it. Like if you don't have a physical therapist or someone who can give a massage, get a foam roller and make a habit of doing that. I do that like pre and post workout, and that stuff it's important and it feels really good. So
the little things matter and they add up. And you guys are good at nipping injuries in the bud, and that allows you to be consistent. There haven't been any like major catastrophic injuries in the last year and a half that have required an extended period of time off. And doing that gets you good. It gets you strong and fast and fit.
Jenna, do you want to, I know we got some questions about nutrition, and you just went through this transformation because you figured it out in your last 70.3.
Yeah, I was going to say that we should go food next too.
Cool. We like food.
For everybody who's wondering, I am I have never done like a salt test before or like a sweat test. And from my own, I know that I'm a salty sweater. Like every single time I finish a long workout, I'm just like super wiped. Everything has like salt all over it. And right before the Oregon race, I figured this out and figured out like what I need to do. And basically I like doubled the amount of sodium that I have in all of my bottles. I started using Tailwind and used like basically a scoop of Tailwind and a Noon tablet, and it has like 750 milligrams of sodium in it. And I drank one of those per hour. And so it's basically double what I was doing before. And
in terms of sodium.
Yeah. And it has like, I don't know, 120 calories, something like that in it. And I felt fantastic afterwards. So
yeah, like, I mean, do the math if you can, and, test this stuff. Like when you have a long bike ride planned, Conrad, you can answer this way more in depth, but like when you have a long bike ride planned, practice your nutrition, practice what you'll do on race day, and just try some things out, try different products, try different doses of sodium and electrolytes and calories, and see how your body reacts. I've never sat down and like written out the math, but I've done a lot of, tinkering with this stuff and just kind of found a formula that works. But yeah, I mean, Conrad, everyone's kind of different in this sense. That's why it's like,
yeah. I mean, typically we do a sweat test, figure out your hourly sweat rate, and you want to try, if for an Ironman, for example, you don't want to lose more than 5% of your body weight. the amount of sodium one takes in, it should vary in between, 600 milligrams an hour up to 2,000 milligrams an hour. I work with athletes who sweat 6 pounds an hour, and those athletes,
yourself included, right?
Included. And we drink 1.5 liters to 2 liters, sometimes more per hour. And when you do that, you need to take in a lot of sodium. Taking in sodium, it allows you to absorb the liquid better. But I like Tailwind because every 100 calories, you're getting in about 300 milligrams of sodium. And it's the same for Gatorade Endurance, base hydration, all of the good high-end sports drinks. They're going to have about 300 milligrams of sodium per 100 calories. So if you're taking in, 300 to 400 calories of that sports drink, you're already, at around, 1,000 milligrams plus. If you're taking that much in, you want to take in a decent amount with it. But, you have to scale it to the sweat rate, and you have to scale it to, how much fluid somebody can consume. The more fluid you're consuming, the more sodium you need. But, I like to think of like 1,000 milligrams an hour as kind of par for maybe the average athlete who sweats a decent amount. But, a light sweater. I know Miguel and Jenna aren't the heaviest sweaters. So they're pretty average. But, you have to experiment in training with all of this also and confirm it, that your body can tolerate what you're taking in. Don't leave it to chance. Test it in training.
Yeah, and I think not only just like what you can tolerate, but what you actually like somewhat enjoy. Like, especially for the longer race. I mean, a shorter race, we're racing Olympic distance on Saturday. So like, I'm going to shove down 300 calories worth of powder
that you bring with you
in a bottle. Yeah, that I bring with me. There's no enjoyment in that. But like, if you're doing a longer race, a half distance or a full, like, Jenna likes to have a waffle, like bring a waffle. I'm like, I can do without a waffle, but I don't know, like if something is tasty and it works with the nutrition plan, like by all means do it. And I think that kind of goes the same for, I'm transitioning into like what we would eat like the night before of a race too. Because I think that's worth talking about. It's, again, like you shouldn't, shock your system with anything new. I saw a question about big day oats, so I want to talk about that real quick. But literally before every like long training session, Jenna and I have like an oatmeal ritual. You can check out our big day oats video, please. But like, we literally go into the kitchen and we pull out like 30 ingredients, like a frozen yogurt bar. And we're like, how should we do this today? Like, let's just it's probably different every single time at this point because we have so many different like
You know what it feels like? It feels like we're at Cold Stone Creamery.
Yeah. And like at this point, it's not even about eating oatmeal. It's just about the ritual of like making our big day oats. And we're going to do the same thing on Saturday when we race. We're going to do the same thing every time we race. We're going to get up in the morning, go to the kitchen, lay out our ingredients and do big day oats. And like, at this point, it's just this calming ritual that we can have something to like not get nervous about before we race. Although it can be pretty nerve wracking sometimes. You got to get it right.
Yeah. It's stress and pressure and hot.
Yes, exactly. But that's our pre-race breakfast. Like we do that because we do that before our training session. Like, like nutrition during the race, your nutrition prior to the race shouldn't be any different. The day before I race a triathlon, I always have a tuna fish sandwich. I'm going to have my tuna sandwich tomorrow for lunch. I have to. Okay. And then tomorrow night, we're going to have some pasta for dinner. And then the morning of, we're going to have oatmeal. Like it's planned out. It's done. We're going to do that because that's just what we've always done. It's not like we're going to change anything, even we're far away from home. But Jenna, what is your favorite big day oats? What's like your classic big day oats?
My classic is an oat base with sliced banana in it. Add a little bit of protein powder, a little bit of salt, a lot bit of cinnamon, some chia seeds, and then soak it in hot water for a while. And then every single like granola and cereal that we have goes on top.
Yeah.
And frozen berries, because then they all melt.
There's like
more banana on top.
At a certain point, what's the ratio of oats to everything else?
It's like a 2 to 8 ratio.
I remember talking with my old boss about Big Day Oats, and she's like, I hate oatmeal. And I like sent her a picture, and I'm like, look, it's beautiful. Oatmeal. And she's like, oh wait, what? That's not oatmeal. Where's the oatmeal?
She said, you're fired.
But yeah, we have some exciting things we're gonna do with Big Day Oats coming soon. So
just wait.
Yeah, it'll get crazy.
Do you have a question from over there? Eventually we should do some rapid fire questions.
Well, how did we meet? That was a question.
We met at the Metropolitan Swimming Pool in Brooklyn, New York. It's a 3-lane indoor public pool that costs $75 a year to join. No, $25 if you're under 25.
This goes into the swimming access thing too. We swim in a 3-lane, like very dumpy pool for like 3 years. And we found a little group there that did their workout within like 45 minutes. And we just kind of tacked on, like made some friends there. And like it wasn't perfect, but it was fun and it motivated us to show up at the pool, and it was something. And that was what we did like 3 times a week for, I don't know, 3 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jenna and I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we were both swimmers on different swim clubs that competed against each other probably like every weekend for who knows how long. But we never met each other. We had no idea each other existed. We probably like bumped into each other in the warm-up lane a bunch of times, but never knew it. And then we were swimming at this pool in Brooklyn, New York, and we were the only people wearing like college swim caps. And we were like, oh, like, you swim? Where are you from?
Well, I saw your stroke and was like, oh, yeah, you swim.
Swimmers can see the swimmer stroke. But yeah, and then we met, and she had a boyfriend, so I waited patiently for 2 years, and then we got together, and here we are.
Here we are. Should we rapid fire?
Yeah. Well, Matt LeGrand asked us, you two used to be so cute. What happened?
Good question, Matt. Miguel used to be a little bit chunkier.
I used to be a little chunkier. My parents got me into swimming. That's what happened.
All right, rapid fire. I know Jenna is gluten-free. Is she celiac? No. But I went gluten-free my freshman year after I was having a lot of stomach problems. How has this impacted you, Miguel?
What?
How has me being gluten-free impacted you?
Oh.
Rapid fire.
It's made me appreciate gluten way more.
Every bite is so
every
sweet.
bite of bread I have now is like,
The coolest thing that you've seen while on a bike ride, you two, Con.
Coolest thing I've seen on a bike ride was probably I did Norseman a few years ago in Norway, and the entire ride was insane. Just the mountains, the terrain, Norwegian terrain. We're thinking about like the coolest thing. I mean, I've had deer run next to me for like probably 200 yards.
That's so
and
scary.
I was just scared. It's like we're riding side by side. But yeah, I mean, just things like that.
Yeah, I think just wildlife for me.
Yeah.
Bike by foxes.
Yeah. I don't know. We like everything is so freaking cool where we bike. It's hard to pick one.
Ride and incredible location.
Yeah.
All right, best dead music for workouts.
Best dead. Is this a question for me?
Honestly, I don't have an answer to this. So.
Yeah, check out the app Re-Listen. It is an archive of every Grateful Dead show ever recorded, I guess. And the coolest feature on there is if you hit Grateful Dead, it has a little This Day in History feature. You click This Day in History and it shows every Grateful Dead show that they played on today. So that's what I do on my rides. Like a true deadhead.
Somebody wants a hair tutorial from you, not from me. Because they try to put up their hair and it doesn't look as good as you.
I put my hair up during my runs, but it doesn't look so cool. Can I plug Everyman Jack, or is that a cop-out?
No, you can if you actually like their stuff.
No, I do. I like Everyman Jack. I like to, when I run, put my hair straight up in a little top knot like that, tied up. I'm not sure it looks cool either, but I still do it anyways. Or I put it in a hat. And there is some Everyman Jack pomade that's like the soft hold, high shine pomade. Jenna actually uses it before her races.
I just like the shine.
Yeah, high shine. But that stuff is actually great. It like makes your hair seem a little bit wet and it keeps it out of your face when you race. So I'll like actually use that on Saturday.
We'll have you do a tutorial eventually.
For sure.
Do you have a favorite channel other than your own that you enjoy watching?
Go.
I love Eric and Paula's channel. I've been watching Eric since he had like 2,000 subscribers. So I'm like a big fan, and I think seeing his channel up really inspired me to like want to make one. And I never did it until we started ours.
Yeah, Eric and Paula, I mean, there are so many like, I hope, because they're really cool, but like similarities to what we're doing. So they're definitely like, inspiration and people we can relate to. But Cody Miller, I like his stuff. And I get a lot of, you look like Cody Miller, literally just because of my hair. So hi, Cody.
What about you? What do you watch?
Freestyle try. I mean, I like to just whatever pops up on the feed on the stream. I mean, I like GTN. I think that who else? I don't know. I can't think of any right now.
There's good stuff out there. I feel like the triathlon YouTube space is getting fun, so it's cool to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Jenna, another rapid fire. If animals could talk, which would be the rudest?
I agree. Camels are really rude.
I think
Goats are pretty rude. Llamas. I think llamas and alpacas are extremely rude.
Are rude.
Which one?
They're cute,
spits?
but they're
Alpacas
rude.
aren't that rude.
Don't camels spit?
Yeah. No,
Alpacas are nice. I think llamas are
The
more
llamas are
aggressive.
the rude ones.
Yeah.
Can I just say a cat?
No, cats are so nice.
I don't know,
They
cats, maybe they're just rude to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Raccoons. Oh, so rude.
Okay, when are you getting a bike rack for your car? We have a bike rack. We're just too lazy to put it on. Sorry, everybody who's upset by us throwing our bikes in the back of our car.
That's funny.
Do you try to stay off your legs between training?
Yes. I think that's a huge priority. Like, it's nice to go out and do active things that are not triathlon when you can, but like if you have a hard training day or like a hard morning the next day, when you finish your day, just like eat and put your legs up. We have a Normatec, so we stick our legs in inflatable pants, and that literally makes us not be able to go anywhere. So that works, but definitely. How about we can make this the last one, but I like this question. What are our goals and dreams for triathlon? I feel like we can all answer this. Conrad, do you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, my goal is to help athletes reach their potential. I think that's my main goal. Whatever those goals are. I mean, I love working with, committed athletes who are hungry to progress. And I think that's my passion in triathlon more than anything else.
But you do still race too.
I do still race.
That's secondary.
Yes. I mean, this year I'm planning on doing Ironman Barcelona this year. The goal is 850 or under. Ideally, I'd like to go under 4 hours in 70.3 eventually over the next year or two. So
we'll work on your swimming, don't we?
Thank you.
Swim lessons available over here.
What are my goals? I want to execute a race to the best of my ability. And I don't think I've had that opportunity to do that yet, just based on injuries and other small setbacks. I don't know if I have dreams of going pro. I think it'd be cool to qualify for a pro card, but I don't think I'd compete as a pro. These are just my thoughts right now, I guess, but we'll see what happens in the future.
We'll see what Conrad and I can do to persuade you.
My goals right now are
Just
just
kidding.
to stay as healthy as possible and continue to enjoy all of this. And in my college swimming career, I like hit a point where I absolutely hated it and just pushed through. And I think finally like getting back into sport and athletics has like brought me to a healthier place with competition, with training and structured training, and setting these big goals for myself. And I just want to continue like this upward trajectory while still like loving the sport.
Yeah, I think, my goals in the sport of triathlon, I think from like a young age, the idea of professional sport, there was always like this kind of mysticism around it. And like, I would look at professional athletes as gods. Like these people what are they doing to be that extraordinary at something? Like what they do is impossible. It was like magic. Like baseball was my favorite sport growing up, and I'd watch these pro baseball players, and what they did was like how can anyone do that? Like these people aren't human. And I was around like my parents who were also obsessed with professional sports, and we would talk about that stuff constantly. That would just be like dinner conversations, is talking about like how these professional athletes were. It doesn't matter what the sport was. But I think as I progressed in my swimming career, I had some little flashes of being extraordinary at swimming, but never could like get to a level of like Olympic, what we're watching on the Olympics right now or anything. And then I entered the sport of triathlon, and it kind of opened up this whole new world of potential to where I could seek that kind of being extraordinary. And, my goal in triathlon is to, find out like what makes like a pro athlete, or what makes like an extraordinary athlete extraordinary, like both mentally and physically. And I think it's just like, it kind of comes down, I want to learn about like every part of my potential in something athletic. And right now it's triathlon. Maybe in 5 years it could be something else. I think I'm going down this like endurance sport path, and it's really cool. And just finding out like what my potential is, and what makes an athlete extraordinary, like finding that out firsthand is now like seemingly a reality, and it's something that I'm shooting for. It's cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Is that it?
Well, we didn't get to every question, but we'll go through the questions that we have on Instagram and post on there, like any answers that we didn't answer here. So if you don't follow us already, follow us at Freestyle Try on Instagram, or personally at Jenna Hoffler and at Miguel Maddox.
Coach Geringer on Instagram, or head to workingtriathlete.com.
Yeah, and if you guys joined us a little later, this is our coach Conrad, working triathlete, really cool group of guys and girls, and good community to be around. And what other stuff do we have to offer besides videos? I'm doing some virtual swim lessons if you want to get your stroke analyzed. Besides coaching, there are a lot of great resources at workingtriathlete.com. Yeah, we're active on social media, so feel free to say hi or ask us anything. And if you guys see us at races, please come and say hi. Yeah, that's always fun.
It is.
All right. That'll wrap. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.